I'm Holden.
And I'm Jackson.
And we're straight out of comics. Straight out of comics, straight to the point, Jackson.
Oh.
Straight to the news, actually.
Really?
First off, not a lot happened, so forgive me. Since there's not a lot of news, I got a couple storylines that maybe we can talk about.
Okay.
Spider-Man. As we all know, Spider-Man is joining the MCU.
MCU?
Starting off with Civil War. And the director that they hired, John Watts, actually just revealed how old Spider-Man's going to be when we first see him.
Let me guess. 27.
No. Nope.
13.
Close. Closer.
12.
No.
11.
Higher. He's going to be 15, Jackson.
15!
15.
Oh dear.
He's going to be 15. He's actually going to be in high school and all of that.
Oh.
So, that means that it is going to be a high school coming-of-age movie, as described by the director. He's going to try to make it like coming-of-age high school movie. You know, Peter Parker's like, I'm just a kid, you know, walking around in high school getting bullied, but I'm Spider-Man too. So just like the other two.
Oh, that classic movie of I'm just a kid walking around in school and I'm Spider-Man too.
Yep, because they made like 5 of them already.
Made like 5.
Yeah.
Except this kid will be like littler.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be like a 30-year-old man who's like, I'm just a kid in high school. He'll be like a 20-year-old man who's like, I'm just a kid in high school.
Yeah, he's, you know, Tom Holland's only 19 years old, which, I mean, in retrospect, for him to be 15, I suppose that is kind of a stretch. I mean, that's 4 years, but usually when you turn like 17, 18, you turn into like a man. You're like 6 feet tall. You got hair all over your body, and your voice is like, "Hello, I'm a man now." But I suppose
it's better than the other guys who were like 30.
Yeah, it was better than like getting 30-year-olds to play high school students. And it's better anyways because once you're 19, you're not going to get any older. Or you're not like... You're not?
You're not?
You're going to get older.
What world do you live in?
You're going to get older, but you're not going to like, you know, sound any different or look any different for, you know, probably a good like 5 years or something like that.
Okay.
Unless Tom Holland gets like fat or something.
Maybe.
Which could happen.
Oh, I imagine that they would just like shoot out all those Marvel like personal trainers and be like, you know, we're following around all day making sure we slap those milkshakes out of your hand.
Yeah, he's like, get me a milkshake, and then like turns around and Kevin Feige's there and he's like, no,
bam, smacks him in the face.
He's like, oh, I hate being Spider-Man. Next news, Jackson.
Next news already?
Oh, John Watts also said that he probably won't kill Uncle Ben again.
He won't kill Uncle Ben, or Uncle Ben will already be dead?
I think Uncle Ben will probably already be dead. Obviously, Uncle Ben should already be dead anyway.
Well, you were like, he won't kill Uncle Ben.
Well, because he was
he's like, this is what Spider-Man would be like if Aunt May died.
Well, he said, there's so many ways you can kill Uncle Ben.
No, there's not. I mean, is there? I guess there is, but I've never seen him. It's never like somebody was like, chop Uncle Ben's head off.
That would have been awesome. He's like, I didn't stop this wrestler. This guy that stole the wrestling money.
And he pulled out a katana and chopped Uncle Ben's head off.
Right in front of me.
So many ways Uncle Ben can die. It's like I came out of the wrestling thing and everything was fine. And then a comet came and hit Uncle Ben in the head.
He was just like, Peter, I'm over here. And from that day on, I had to become Spider-Man to fight intergalactic evil.
Yeah,
like
that day on I became an astronomer so I could make sure I could
tell people,
stop comets.
Tell people when comets are coming. Whatever. But on to the next news.
So there's only one way Uncle Ben could die.
Yeah, I mean Uncle Ben has to get shot by a guy that Peter Parker didn't stop when he should have.
Yeah.
But like
shot, not katana.
But I would totally see that. Well, it's just like some guy, he all he had was a katana blade. He broke in and was like, "Give me all your money!" And the guy was like, "Here." And so he was like running out, and Spider-Man was like, "It's not my problem." And he's running with a katana blade, runs into the elevator and gets away. Yeah. He's like, "Just not my problem." He's walking down the street, and there's a bunch of people gathered over a body with its head chopped off, and it's Uncle Ben's head laying there, and he's like, "Ah." Mm-hmm. And he still gives them the words of wisdom. He's like, "Peter, with great power."
He's got it written down on a note. No, like I think it'd be cool if you saw him do it. If it's like Peter comes out and he sees Uncle Ben, he's like, "Uncle Ben," and then the guy's like, "Whoosh!" Just with the katana blade, head comes off, he goes running off. And he's like, no, and then it goes credits, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Well, it'd be funny too to see that he's like sitting there like, "That's my uncle," and he's like sitting there like, "Oh no, what happened to my uncle?" And then the cops are like,
"You don't want to see this."
No, the cops are like, "It appears he was chopped. His head was chopped off with a katana blade." And then Peter's like, "A katana blade?"
That cop sounds so like, "Hey, I mean, this is New York. Things happen."
Yeah, they're like, "It's New York. Everything happens."
And those guys with the katana blades, you gotta stay away from those guys. Forget about it.
So yeah, then he, chases him down and beats him up. And so on and so forth. The Spider-Man story.
Yeah, Spider-Man mythos, Okay.
But
next story doesn't involve Uncle Ben katana blade.
Did you see Red Tornado? As we all know, Supergirl show's coming out on CBS, and they've recently announced that they're gonna have a bunch of kind of more Z-list Superman characters on there. People we don't really know about, but they've announced a few guys, and Red Tornado was one of them.
Yeah.
And they cast an actor and everything. Well, the other day they finally released a picture of him. And what did you think?
Well, for one, I wouldn't call Red Tornado a Z-list character.
No, I'm saying
he is at least a C-list character.
Red Tornado isn't a Z-list character, but I was saying villains, like that one dude that's got his mouth opens up. Well, there's that picture of the guy with his mouth that opens up that looks like
The Strain.
Like from The Strain or Blade 2 or something like that.
The Strain Man. The Strainer.
Yeah. So there's those type of guys that are Marvel, that are comic book villains of Superman's, but nobody. It's not Lex Luthor. But Red Tornado was somebody, when they said that, I was like, "Ooh, Red
Tornado. Okay, but as far as what this looks like, this costume is a Z-list costume. I mean, it's terrible. I almost physically vomited when I saw it in my mouth a little bit. I mean, it looks like it's made out of foam. That's painted with some texture paint, and then but it's got black lines on it that look like they're drawn on with marker, and then he's got a face, a red face, like they're trying to do the Vision, but on on the TV, a $10, not even a TV budget, our budget.
Well, yeah, because it just looks like it's the dude's face, but he's wearing this mask that covers up his whole head, which is kind of like what the Visions was. But they, like you said, they had $250 million to make that movie.
$250 million.
They look and as I look at it now, it just looks terrible. Because his arms and stuff. I mean, I don't know if he's maybe it's not supposed to be a robot. Maybe he's just a guy in a suit. Because that's what he really looks like, is just a guy in a suit.
A guy in a suit, yeah.
Because you look at his arms, and it kind of looks like they have little bolts in his arm, but those are drawn on.
Yeah, they're drawn on the foam.
And it's that's supposed to be a rotating bolt thing. I don't know, but it just looks terrible. They gave him a T though. It's got the T.
The T looks good, and the head part looks expensive. I don't think it looks good, but it looks like it costs money. But then the rest of it looks like you could make that for $10.
Yeah, and I mean, the headpiece isn't that bad. It's the rest of it that I think is the worst part.
Yeah, it's the armored parts of it look terrible. It's if you're doing Red Tornado, who is honestly one of my favorite characters, I mean, he's a robot. You're on a TV budget. Why not just make him to where he's like a normal-looking guy, and he's a replicant robot or whatever on the inside?
Yeah, that's how he is in the comic book. He's like a robot, but he looks like Lex Luthor or something like that.
Yeah, in the comic book, he doesn't look like a robot. He is a man who is a robot inside, and he wears a costume. Excuse me. But this looks like shit. This looks like they were like, let's do the Vision, but shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think the internet, there's been a lot of internet hate for costumes this summer.
Yeah, there has kind of been. I mean,
because you go from Apocalypse, which everybody called Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, looking at this, it's like, you think Apocalypse looks like a Power Rangers villain. This guy looks just like a Power Rangers villain. I mean, and granted, this is TV, and like I said, Apocalypse looks like a better version of like this.
Ivan Ooze.
He looks like the...
Well, Ivan Ooze was a movie, so...
Yeah, Ivan Ooze was a movie. But, I mean, it was still like, a TV movie, so it was kind of like they didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on it. So, I mean...
But still, I don't feel like you can use TV as an excuse, because they do some good stuff on TV.
They don't like good costumes. I mean, when have they made a good costume?
The Flash's costume looks good.
I mean, it doesn't look like, anything that you've seen in the movies. It doesn't look like the Marvel's costumes, or even, Man of Steel's or the new Batman
I think the Flash's costume has one of the best, masks. I think his looks better than Captain America's does sometimes.
I mean, Captain America's only had, a mask, once, technically.
Yeah, because they couldn't make it work.
But they were just finally just make it a helmet.
Looks good on Grant Gustin, though. I mean, they do fine. I mean, the Flash's costume and Arrow's costume are fine.
The Flash and Arrow's costumes are fine.
Supergirl's costume is fine on here.
Yeah, and hers looks fine. But, that's because they looked at it and they were just kind of like, well, we don't really need to, do anything weird with it. This looks like they, I mean,
they did something weird. I mean, usually on TV,
it looks really bad.
They know, okay, we're not going to make a great-looking costume because we're on a TV budget, and we don't have the time, for one, to devote, coming up with a great-looking costume for this guy who's going to be on, 2 episodes. So, let's just put him in street clothes. Usually they're smart enough to do this, but this looks insane.
Yeah, because, I mean, when they did, on Smallville, when they did Cyborg, it was just kind of he had the Cyborg parts underneath.
Yeah, that was fine.
It wasn't like he was oh, I gotta look like Cyborg. And I understand that they're kind of well, this is, now, comic book shows are in the mode of well, we can actually do costumes now, that we don't have to be like Smallville, to where it's well, there's not a costume for this guy yet. Even though Smallville had, everybody in costumes, Green Arrow was in costumes and stuff. But
yeah. And I'm okay with giving him a costume, but, I mean, it looks like they're trying to make him robotic, which you don't have to do. I mean, just make him a normal-looking guy with a red costume like Grant Gustin's got on, and it doesn't have to be some, armored foam morph suit or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, you could have just made him a normal
But another
guy.
costume that's gotten a lot of hate this summer was Diggle's costume.
Yeah, Diggle's costume.
Diggle's weird short helmet.
Well, the problem with Diggle's thing is it's just the helmet. I mean, if he just had a domino mask, that would have been fine. If he just had
if he had a full Magneto helmet, it'd be fine.
Well, that's the helmet to me. That's the problem, because it's why does he have a helmet? I mean, nobody else has a helmet. Everybody else has a mask.
He doesn't want to get shot in the head.
Yeah, but I mean, Laurel's, Black Canary's got a mask. Speedy's got a mask. His sister's got a mask and a hood, and Green Arrow's got a hood. And it doesn't seem like, Flash has a metal helmet either. No. So Diggle's just I'm afraid to get shot in the head.
He's I don't have, powers or great archery skills.
I'm not that good as, sister who trained for 6 months.
Yeah, well, she trained with the League of Shadows. Diggle only trained with the U.S. Army.
He was a Marine. He had to kill his own brothers just so that they didn't tell on him. I don't know. That's what somebody told me that was in the Marines.
What, you had to kill your brother?
Well, he said, he's working for the Marines was pretty messed up because we had to kill our own people sometimes because they got captured. And I was so you went through all the trouble to, get there and then kill the guy. Why didn't you just rescue him instead? I don't know. That's what somebody.
I don't know, giving away military secrets. Saving Private Ryan was all about like go in there and then shoot Matt Damon, so you can't tell everybody that it's a teacher.
Yes,
giving away.
That's exactly what Saving Private Ryan was about.
Yeah, he was like, go in there and kill Matt Damon because Matt Damon's like, Tom Hanks, he's not even a tough military guy, he's a teacher.
And he's like, Tom Hanks is like, no, he's figured me out. Nobody's going to take me serious after this.
I know. And then the Germans are going to give him apples and stuff. And he's going to be like, oh, my weakness.
They're like, oh, Tom Hanks, he has an apple for you. And he's like, no, Matt Damon.
So what do you think about the costume?
I told you, it looked terrible.
All right.
I think we both can agree
agreed in this.
that it looks terrible.
Looks bad.
But I'm still interested to see it because I like Red Tornado.
I like Red Tornado, but I don't want to see them do this to him.
Well, who knows? Like I said, they might put him in that costume,
they
and
do
then
this
they'll
to
be
me?
like, maybe, because it seems like they're gonna kind of make him like a bad guy or something like that. That they're gonna have to fight, and probably maybe by the end it will be like he's just a pretty good guy or something like that, and then maybe they'll be like, I got a new body for him, and he looks like this, or it's like.
It doesn't look
He
like
can,
garbage.
or like he can take off the suit or something like that. Maybe it's just a suit because it looks like a suit. It doesn't look like. I mean, if you're gonna wear that around and tell people, "Oh, it's a robot," then nobody's
Doesn't
gonna
look
buy
like
that. It does not look
robot.
like a robot. It looks like a suit.
Looks like a
So-
man in a foam suit, a
so-
Nerf suit.
I mean, maybe it's a stunt suit. Maybe they're like, "This
mean,
is the stunt suit."
Hopefully,
That
so.
site looks like garbage
I
because we
mean-
can let it get burnt up or whatever, like destroyed.
I mean, if they were like, this is a commercial for like new Nerf armor.
Nerf armor.
So now you could go and have your Nerf battle and not get hurt by the foam Nerf bullets.
Yep, you get a
And
nice
the kid's
foam.
like, yeah, Nerf armor.
Put on your red makeup on your face and wear
Yeah.
your plastic helmet,
War paint comes with war paint.
your Nerf suits.
That'd be fine. Also, another bad costume this summer was Doctor Doom with the melted garbage
Melted
bags.
garbage bags. Yeah. Well,
So,
we
yeah.
knew that's what he
So,
was gonna look
okay,
like
I don't
for a
think
while.
this isn't a lot of hate for costumes. This is a lot of bad costumes this summer.
It is, but I don't know. It's like I said, with Apocalypse, it was a bad picture. That one picture, like I said, that one picture they released looked way better.
I think that's just a good picture.
Now,
Because
but I mean, it's
but
a
that-
picture of a picture. Like it looks like a
Yeah,
picture
it's a
of
picture
like
of
him
a
in
picture.
the movie or whatever.
which picture do you think would be more accurate? The picture of a video or a picture that they took and published in Entertainment Weekly magazine? Would they be
Well-
like, he doesn't really look like that, but we are going to release these pictures in Entertainment Weekly magazine?
Well, I mean, it was a bad picture. That's just a bad idea. Because I mean, if you look at the photo on
How
the
is it
front,
bad?
he looks different than what he looks like in the book.
Yeah,
the
but it
purple.
still looks bad.
I mean, he still looks bad, yeah, but what are we gonna do about it? They don't do things right a lot of times.
I know, that's what I'm
They
saying.
don't make things look right.
Is I don't want to say that it's just us hating on it. I want to say that I think it looks bad. I mean, it doesn't look as bad as this Red Tornado. This Red Tornado is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Apocalypse does look like a pretty cool version of Ivan Ooze. Like, if they were like, this is set photos from the new Power Rangers movie and this is Ivan Ooze, I'd be like, man, Ivan Ooze looks badass. But the fact that they're like, it's Apocalypse, yeah. Any more news?
Yes. Speaking of X-Men, Gambit, that movie with Channing Tatum.
Oh, the movie that's coming out next year.
It's supposed to.
I hope that they're working on it because it's supposed to come out next year, right?
Well, like we probably discussed this on earlier episodes, but it had been reported that like Channing Tatum probably wasn't going to do it because like negotiations and stuff like that, not getting like money or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That he wasn't going to do it, and then he started wanting to do it again.
Yeah, then he came back and he's actually going to do it now. Well, now it's being said that it's director Rupert Wyatt has left the project.
Rupert Wyatt left
Wyatt.
the drop pod. Oh my gosh.
Whatever.
You can't
that
say
guy
it,
left
but
the
I will
movie.
say that Rupert Riot sounds pretty cool.
Rupert Riot.
I'm Rupert Riot. It sounds like the
Sounds
name
like
of a
a
guy in a Street Fighter video game.
Rupert Riot.
Rupert Riot.
I don't know.
Cha-cha!
Rupert.
But they're like, he's from Australia.
Yeah, maybe,
Rupert Riot.
Maybe he's like a Wall Street like British guy or Australian guy who's like, oh, I'm Rupert, but
Rupert
I'm a
Riot.
fighter too, and he's got to like come down to the street.
Yeah,
whatever.
he's like an
Some
British investment banker, Rupert Riot. And then, he's got his
got like a
Street
suit
Fighter
on
guy there. Yeah, but he's
well, that's
got,
what
like,
happens
fingerless
is like
gloves.
he's like in his office working on like stocks and
Steaks.
stuff or whatever. He's like working on stocks and stuff on his computer, and he's like, what's all this commotion downstairs? And he looks out and like Ryu and them are fighting in the street, and he's like, you guys get out of the street! And so he's like, I guess I gotta handle this myself. And he takes off his suit jacket, rolls up his sleeves, and goes down there, and he's starting to fight too. Rupert Wyatt.
Rupert Riot.
Rupert Riot.
But anyways, Rupert Wyatt.
Rupert Wyatt has left the
building.
Gambit movie. He was,
So
hired
what did
to
he
direct
direct
it.
before?
He directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes and probably some other movies, but I think that's the big one that he did. So yeah, he was supposed to direct it. Now it's saying he's not going to direct it. Now it doesn't. It's not the fact that like he's like, oh, fuck Fox or anything like that. He's just kind of like, well, I was gonna do it, but since it sounds like since they're gonna push back when they're gonna start shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposed to start shooting in like November or something like that. So now it's being said that it's gonna be pushed back till like early 2016 till it starts shooting. So that's why he had to leave the project, because he had prior commitments and stuff like that. So he couldn't direct it. And now since it's getting pushed back, it kind of feels like they might have to push back the movie as a whole, because the movie's supposed to come out October of next year. And if they're going to start shooting it, like maybe like March next year or February next year, it doesn't sound like that gives them enough time to make the movie and release it.
Seems really weird and unlikely.
Compared to a lot of compared to the other X-Men movies, where like Deadpool's finished, X-Men's finished,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of like
And then
They haven't
they're
even
going to be
started.
rushing to make Gambit, and then release it like 3 months later.
yeah.
That's weird. I wonder who they're going to get, because he directed Planet of the Apes. Maybe they'll get the guy that's directing the last Planet of the Apes.
He's doing the new Planet of the Apes.
Yes?
Yeah, well, the guy that did the first.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
the,
Oh, you could get the guy that did the first Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston,
Yep.
if he's still alive.
if he's still alive.
Or
get
you
that
could
guy.
get Tim
Burton.
Burton.
You get Tim Burton to come in and do.
You're like,
Gambit.
come on, Tim Burton.
No, they'll probably just get like somebody.
Somebody who could do, like, playing cards. You could get the guy that made 21. Or the guy that made Now You See It.
They could get anybody, honestly. It's not like, I mean,
You gotta
obviously.
have somebody who's, like, got familiarity with cards.
I mean, it's obvious, that at this point, doing a comic book movie, as you can see from, like, Marvel, that, like, you could get anybody to direct one of these movies. I mean, granted, it seems like Fox, and especially, like, Warner
They
Brothers.
try and get somebody.
Warner Brothers is kind of like, we want to try to get somebody that creatively can do this movie. But, whatever.
Exactly.
I'm not
they're
really
gonna be
super
like,
excited for Gambit
"We're looking-
anyways. So,
We'll get the guy who directed Green Lantern, because he directed Casino Royale, Cards, and
don't
he
get
also
that guy.
directed a superhero movie.
Don't get that guy to direct another superhero movie. He's in movie jail.
He's like,
for
give
all
me
I'm
another,
concerned.
give me another chance.
No, you're
I
in
can
movie
do it.
jail. That,
I
yeah.
think the CGI costume could work with Gambit.
Give the Gambit. Why? Why? We'll make the sleeve mask, the sock mask, or whatever.
Yeah,
He'll make that.
CGI. Because if it's a floating face instead of a floating head, it'll look
Look
better.
better. It's like, no, it won't. 'Cause
No, Martin, guy.
it's like, why do you want to use CGI so much? You didn't even use CGI in any other movies.
Like, I wanted to.
I pushed for it.
They wouldn't let me give Daniel Craig a CGI tuxedo.
I wanted James Bond to be wearing a CGI suit the whole time, but you know what? They told me no. But they finally let me with Green Lantern.
Finally.
Saw that.
My dream.
But on to the next news. Batman news, Jackson.
Batman news?
Batman in a way. As we know, Batman is a character that was created by Bob Kane back in like 1939. But what a lot of people don't know, most people know it, but not a lot of people know, that it wasn't just Bob Kane who created him. He had a writer pretty much create Batman as Bob Kane drew it.
Yep.
And what is that man's name, Jackson?
Bill Fingers.
Bill Finger. Not fingers. Singular, not plural. But it's being said now that, because over the last few years and stuff like that, people have been saying, well, maybe give Bill Finger credit for creating Batman. He's long been dead. He died in 1974, and it's just kind of like, maybe give Bill Finger credit for it. It's not like, you need to be like, his estate gets half the money now.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him co-credit for it as well. So it's finally being put into, movies, TV shows now. So in the next Batman v Superman, when they say, Batman created by Bob Kane, it will also include and Bill Finger.
And Bill Finger too, because he deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he pretty much wrote Batman. He created him.
He's like the Stan Lee of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Bob Kane was like, I like Zorro, and I feel like it'd be cool to have like a Zorro who's kind of like a bat. And then Bill Finger created everything else. Bill Finger was like, all right, so he's Bruce Wayne. He looks like this, and he has a Robin, and his main villain is a clown, and all that stuff. All that stuff from Batman we know and love.
Yeah, Bill Finger pretty much
Bill
came
Finger
up with
came
that.
up with it.
And I mean, for a lot of people who don't know, it was back in the day, the early days of comic books. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff they kind of screwed over a lot of people back in the day. And I mean, Bob Kane was a guy who was an artist, and like you said, he wanted to create a new superhero who was kind of like Zorro or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to Bill Finger and was like, "Here, you write, this book for me, and I'll draw it, and then we can, sell it and make money." But he had to sign a contract first saying that, anything that he created, Bob Kane owned, he wouldn't get credit. And he made, he got paid for it, of course, but he didn't get the credit that later on. So when Batman blew up and became, one of DC's biggest, superheroes, he didn't get that credit like Bob Kane did. Because every time you read a comic book or see a Batman movie, it's always got Bob Kane up there. It's kind of similar with Superman, because they got credit for that as well. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster led down the road. But yeah, he's going to get credit on Batman v Superman, as well as starting with season 2 of Gotham. So on Gotham, it's going to show, characters in the show created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane.
So he's going to get it on Batman v Superman, but then they got to give it to the Gotham.
He's going to be like, Batman v Superman.
He's like, yeah, I created Batman on that one. It sounds like they're looking for a scapegoat.
And they're like,
it's Bill Finger's fault.
Well, I think, because I think it's also kind of a way for them to be like, hey, watch Gotham, and then you can see Bill Finger's name.
You can see Bill Finger's name. If you're a big Bill Finger fan.
Then you can be like, oh yeah, Bill Finger's name's on there. And that might get somebody to watch it. Maybe like 10 people watched, the premiere of Gotham the other night, just so they can see Bill Finger's name up there. But
maybe.
Yes.
I'm sure they did, because there's that guy that wrote the Bill Finger book, which I don't remember what it's called, Finger and Finger.
What was it? It was Mark Tyler Nobleman.
Mark Tyler Nobleman. He probably watched it. And Bill Finger's like granddaughter.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure, the Finger estate.
The Finger estate.
The Finger estate, it's like I said too, the fact that he's, long been dead, they can just throw his name up there, have it be Bob Kane and Bill Finger. I know Bob Kane, drew it and had all the rights and stuff, but Bob Kane's dead too.
Yeah. Screw it all.
Screw them!
They're just
what are they gonna do? Nah, I mean, rights and stuff, contracts, all that jazz.
Pretty
confusing.
Interesting.
But that's pretty much it for news, James.
That's all the news for this week?
That's all the most interesting things I can find.
We haven't done a podcast in like 6 weeks, and that's the news that there's been.
Well, I didn't want to go way back and then just do like a bunch of news.
I don't think there still is any
Yeah,
news.
there still
like
really wasn't like anything big, so it was kind of just like,
Well, I've got some news.
You do?
Wesley Snipes had an interview and said that he and Marvel, the talks about Blade are going pretty well, about doing another Blade movie.
Yeah, but he's been saying that for a while though too.
Yeah, but he said they're going pretty well, and that they're going well.
Who knows? Wesley Snipes might be making this all up.
They also asked.
He's like, yeah, and I paid my taxes too, and then like, no, you didn't. You went to jail. And he's like, damn it.
They also asked him though, like what would it be like if it was in the Avengers? And he was like, yeah, it'd be cool. He said he wanted to bite one of the Avengers. Most favorably, Scarlett Johansson.
If I had to choose, who would be Scarlett Johansson?
I would too.
I'd be like, what would make sense if Blade had to bite Black Widow?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's who Blade would try and bite.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have Blade be the bad guy, and he's just trying to bite people, and he's like, I'm biting somebody, and that just happens to be Black Widow, maybe.
He bites Black Widow.
That'd be
Black
interesting.
Widow turns into a vampire, and then Blade and Black Widow have a sexy sex scene.
And then just like, I don't know, Wesley. We were just thinking about doing maybe just a Blade movie or a Netflix show or something like that. He's like, okay. I mean, whatever.
Could
I need work. Because did you see my new show that's coming up on NBC? I'm going to need a job in a few weeks.
I didn't see his new show. Was it Minority Report? No.
No, he's
He's on the. Is he on the Limitless show?
No, it's like a show.
Show.
It's about a show. It's a show about he's not. He's like the second, third guy. He's kind of like the older guy that's like I'm the guy everybody knows, but I'm not the star of the show kind of character. But it's about a guy who's like a guy in Vegas.
Who's like a guy who's like.
Well, it's about a guy. It's about a guy who's I don't know, maybe a security firm guy or something like that. But he's kind of badass or whatever. He jumps out of buildings and beats up people or whatever. And he's like, your security team sucks, so you need to get better security. He's like one of those guys.
Yeah.
So I guess then Wesley Snipes comes to him and he's like, we like to gamble with stuff in Vegas, so we need you to go around and do stuff for us because it's Vegas,
baby.
That's why I'm saying he's gonna need to be looking for a new show. Something
Vegas, to do. Baby. Well, I mean, it's like I said, I always thought it would be a cool proportion. It'd be a cool thing to even if he was just had a role in Doctor Strange where he came in as the magical Nick Fury Blade. To where, at the end of the movie or something, Doctor Strange is like, man, fighting Baron Mordo sure was tough. And then, Blade comes out of the shadows.
And you seem tough.
Yeah.
If you think Baron Mordo's tough, wait till you fight
There's
Deacon
a whole
Frost.
magical world out there, and stuff. And he's like, I'm the Nick Fury of magic.
I mean, it'd be all right if they wanted to turn Blade into that type of guy.
I represent
who's well, maybe not like Nick Fury.
I represent a
maybe
organization
not like Nick Fury.
called Wand.
Maybe he's not a Nick Fury guy, but he's I am more immersed within the magical world as opposed to being just fighting vampires and stuff like that. I also fight interdimensional demons and stuff like that too.
Interdimensional vampires.
I don't just fight vampires. There's regular vampires and there's kind of Or maybe they might even do that to where it's like it's not necessarily vampires. It's like interdimensional vampires that suck blood, like the Strain. It might be something like that to where they're not really even
Or
like
just something
vampires.
like it's like I've been fighting vampires so long that it's like, you know, yeah, I've branched out and I'm fighting like wizards and stuff like that.
I'm fighting
You know,
wizards.
vampires, wizards, they kind of go hand in hand, you know?
I don't really think they go hand in hand.
Yes,
I
they do.
think that's like I said. They could do that with Blade. Just kind of make it to where it's like, oh, I'm fighting these other things too, you know, that are similar to vampires. But I don't think that they should make him to where he's like, I fight wizards.
Well,
I fight wizards.
what's the
Harry.
difference between a wizard and a vampire?
A lot.
I mean, vampires suck blood, wizards don't. Pretty much ends right there.
It's not the same. It's two completely different things. You just made my argument.
What do you mean? I said
You
that's the only difference. Wizards don't suck blood, vampires do. But otherwise,
Wizards
they're
can go
very
out in the
similar.
day.
Do they?
Vampires
Can
can't.
they?
Yeah,
You
they
ever
can.
seen a wizard during the day?
Yeah.
When?
The other day.
See?
Walking down the street.
Why do wizards
Gandalf?
What? I'm not talking about Gandalf.
He's a wizard!
Why do wizards always have like the robes and hats with the little moons and stars on them? Because they're always out at night, and so they can blend in.
Blend into what? The sky?
The night sky and the moons and the stars.
Whatever.
Point made.
No, you didn't make a point.
Yes, I did.
You destroyed a point, if anything.
Beards. Wizards have beards.
Vampires don't have beards.
Donald Law got a beard.
In the first
In
blade.
the first blade.
What about the other blades?
Blam!
The other blades, nobody else had a beard.
Huh?
The other blades didn't know any other vampires have beards.
Hey, I gave you one example.
Donald Law. Donald Law always has a beard. That's his thing.
All right. I'm just saying, they're more similar than you would think.
I don't think he had one on.
They have
Grounded for
magical.
Life, though.
They both have magical powers.
Would you say vampires are magical though? Because they're not like we can make conjures and we don't conjure up things. They're just like we like to drink blood and
Sometimes
we have superpowers
I
or
mean,
whatever.
like the whole like vampire thing of like, are you enjoying your spaghetti? And then you look at it, and it's worms,
It's like worms.
like from the Lost Boys.
Yeah, but is that
That's magic.
is it magic? It's just kind of more like suggestion and stuff. Like you could be eating a bowl of spaghetti and it'd be like that's actually worms.
And you'd be- yeah, but then you'd be like, no, it's not.
That's spaghetti. Whatever.
But anyways, I'm just saying.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying.
I hate it when you're just saying.
I love it when I'm just saying.
But
'Cause that's when I'm speaking the truth.
we're out of the news, Jackson.
Okay, no more news. Into the olds.
Yeah, whatever. We're our spotlight. As we do on the show, we do news. The next chamber would be a spotlight, and didn't really have anything to do, like in terms of like best or worst things that we could talk about. But I did want to try to bring in a new segment maybe we can do for when we don't really feel like doing a best and worst thing.
Okay.
Because this way, whatever. I won't go into it. But I
Let's
want
not
to
talk about business.
create a new segment.
All right.
It's called What They Should Have Done or What They Should Do.
What they
Did you
should
get
have
that?
done or what they should do.
Yes. So we can talk about
Okay.
what they should have done when
Or-
in a movie, TV show, whatever. And then we could talk about what they should do in an upcoming movie, TV show, or whatever.
Okay. I get it. A pretty simple concept.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, you just got to understand letters and words.
I do understand letters and words.
But, I was trying to figure out something that we could talk about. I thought about, movies that came out recently that I could be like, well, maybe we could talk about this or talk about that. I just couldn't think of anything that I wanted to say.
It was
without-
relevant.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, kind of not. That was kind of relevant because like for example, I was gonna talk about like Avengers or something like that. But I was kind of like, as I was going through it in my mind, I was kind of like, this would be better. But it's also like, I did really enjoy Age of Ultron anyways.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to like completely like shit on it because I still liked it.
Well, that's what the show is. It's just
now I did find something that I was like, I can shit on this because I don't really care for it too much. I watch it. And I watched pretty much the whole thing. It's a TV show. So I pretty much watched the whole season last season. And I maybe like missed a couple episodes, but it's something that I think I just watched past the time. Because like I said, I don't really need it in my life. I didn't want it when they announced it. And as I watch it, it's just like, this is awful.
Well, I agree with you, brother. I mean, I'm ready to shit on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Well, that can be for another time. We can do it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
This isn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No.
I'm shitting on.
Which I actually...
Carter?
It's Gotham.
Gotham.
Gotham. And I thought it was relevant because it was on last night. Season 2 premiered last night. We didn't watch it, of course, because, I'm just about to shit on it, so...
I shit on things I don't watch.
So I figured, like, this is relevant. I could figure out a way, to say that, like, they should have just done this, because this way it's easier. So, yeah.
Okay, so,
Gotham's pretty
but
bad.
as far as the way that we're going to do this here, you've prepared a piece.
I've kind of came up with points. I'm not gonna like tell you like the whole series or the whole season or whatever, but I'll just be like, and it's kind of like this, and they do this and stuff.
No, are you remaking this from the ground up, or are you saying like this is where we go from here to salvage this?
Well, that was my problem with like Avengers: Age of Ultron, is because I was kind of rebuilding it from the ground up. And as I was doing that, I was kind of like, but there was still a lot of stuff I really liked in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, like the part where Vision picks up the hammer.
Well, yeah, like all of that stuff. Having Vision and Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver all in there with Ultron. I liked all of that stuff, but I just didn't feel like some of the stuff worked either. Yeah. But like I said, I didn't want to.
Some of the parts where they were like Captain America.
Yeah,
you said language. And
yeah, there's a lot of fun moments in it too that I was just kind of like, well, I don't want to completely take all this out because it was still fun. But I have problems with that movie, but I still enjoy it. I have a lot of problems with Gotham. So I'm gonna kind of go into it. If you want to add something in there too, or if you don't disagree, let me know, and I'll tell you to shut up.
I'll let you know in the comments.
You let me know in the comments below. Well, first off, Gotham. I think the whole idea is awful. I don't want to see a Gotham show. I don't really care to see a Gotham show because I know if they do, it's just going to be like, it's not going to be connected to a universe, And the only reason they kind of are able to do this Gotham show is because it's like Smallville, to where it's like, well, he's never going to become Batman on the show, so this doesn't have to really be connected to, either the Nolan movies or even the new Batman with Ben Affleck. So it's not going to be connected to that. So that's why they're able to get away with it.
It's a weird, stupid thing that they do in superheroes. And they only really do this in superheroes where they're like, let's do like a show about like what happened before the superhero was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they never do that with anything else where they're like, it's not like the Sarah Chronicles where like, this is what happened to Sarah Connor before the Terminator tried to kill her.
Yes, nobody. I mean, I'd hate that show.
There's no Terminators.
Yeah, because it'd just be like her working at like as a waitress or whatever, and she's just like, I got a pet iguana and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Or this is what happened to Ripley before she went on the ship with the aliens.
And she's like, I'm a scientist.
I'm just a scientist, and it's just like bones or something.
It's bones in space.
Yeah.
But. Like I said, I'll go through it. I'll give you the whole rundown. So, in my version of Gotham, like I said, I don't really care for Gotham. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea, but I think the way they should have done it should have been completely different. But what I would have done with Gotham, I would have completely not done it to where it's like before or anything like that. It would be
in the midst of a Batman in Gotham.
Yeah, it would be. I would do it to where, Batman's significantly within, like Gotham Central. He's significantly within Gotham, history and everything like that. He's a regular Batman, how Batman is when you pick up a comic now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would have it to be like that. I wouldn't have Commissioner Gordon be the main character. It would be centralized around. It would center around Crispus Allen, who, as we know, is in the show. It'd be Crispus Allen and Renee Montoya, who are on the show, but like they don't really get to do anything, and they're annoying on the show too. So everybody
when
on
they
the
do
show's
get
annoying.
to do things,
They're-
it's annoying.
It's annoying. So that's how everybody is on the show. It's like, Penguin, he's annoying. The Riddler, he's annoying.
Little Batman.
He's annoying. I just, and people are like, I like Batman, I like the Penguin. It's like, nah, they're just all annoying, because it's like, I don't care. I don't care about this stuff. And, I think if they wanted to do this, okay, I'll go back before, but I think if they wanted to do this, do like the pre-Batman thing, they should have did like what Kevin Smith and them were doing. That would have been way better. I know it would have been really stupid, the Shadow of the Bat thing. And if you want to listen to that, it's, I think, episode 51 of Kevin Smith's podcast, Batman on Batman. He goes into great detail with Paul Dini, who wrote on the animated
Classic Batman writer.
Classic Batman writer of the animated series and everything. And they go into great detail on this show where it's Bruce Wayne and he goes to like a private school, and it's kind of like what they call it, just like the Hardy Boys or something like that. Like the Hardy Boys meets Batman. So he's just like a young, kid detective or whatever in a private school. And I think they either should have done that or done nothing. Because I don't really like what they're doing with Gotham, because it's like a bad version of Smallville. It is.
That's saying
That's saying something. Because Smallville wasn't
of
good.
something that's already not great.
I mean, because at least with Smallville, he had his powers, and he was going around doing stuff. And even though he wasn't like Superboy, you could still kind of be like, it is Superboy, that you could be like, it's like Superboy type stuff. So, with this, it's just kind of like, he's not Batman, and he's not gonna be Batman until he comes back and he's like, I'm Batman. So you still have to deal with him as like a kid, and he's just like, I'm like to jump off of buildings and stuff and burn myself. So, and you got to deal with all that other stupid crap with Penguin and Commissioner Gordon and everything like that. So, but that's my piece. It's a bad version of Smallville.
Okay, but what is your version?
But my version would be, like I said, it starts out prominent version of Batman. I do it either one of two ways. I'll go with the first. I'll go over the first one first. It's a prominent version of Batman. He's there. I would even have it to where it's a DC universe. So everybody knows about Superman, Wonder Woman, all of them, but you never see him. You only see pieces of Batman. So what would happen is, like, for example, maybe the beginning of the episode of the first season or whatever would be like, Crispus Allen and Montoya like sitting there watching Jim Gordon like standing there next to like, the bat signal waiting for Batman to come or whatever. And like they're talking, and as they look over, Batman's there. But you don't see who it is. It's just like the back of Batman, so you can make out that it's, the cowl, the cape, and everything like that. And Jim Gordon's just sitting there talking to him or whatever, and like Batman's got like a case file or whatever. And it's just kind of like, that you're just seeing it all from their perspective. That, it's not a Batman show. It's Gotham Central, essentially, where it's the cops of Gotham. And they're dealing with like having to, fight, either mob bosses or even like, fighting, somebody that's, a low rent supervillain or whatever. So I'd have it to be like that, to where maybe even you could have it to where Batman gives them cases to go after. Like Batman's like, I don't have time to, go after this guy. So here, maybe you can put some detectives on this case and they can track it down. And then like it would be something like that. So it would be something like that, and in some cases you could have it to where it's like, Batman's not in town and like Mr. Freeze attacks. or whatever. You know, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy attacks or something like that.
And they're like,
And you
Batman's
don't-
with the Justice League.
And you don't see Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy too much. It's just kind of like they get a call and they're just like, you know, Mr. Freeze is attacking downtown. He's freezing squad cars, people, and everything like that. And they have to go down there and try to stop Mr. Freeze, even though, like, you know, they're not like Batman, so they don't have, like, you know, gadgets and everything like that to stop Mr. Freeze. So it's just kind of like these cops that are trying to stop Mr. Freeze. And, you know, they're eventually able to because, you know, they're cops. So whatever. So they're eventually able to, but it just kind of shows that it's like, you know, we're just regular people. We're not superheroes like Batman or anybody like that. You know, we just are cops. So I'd have it to be like that. And, like, it'd be real serious. And I wouldn't make it 22 episodes. It'd be 13 episodes. It'd be like 10, 13 episodes, like every show should be. So,
Okay.
That's my first pitch.
That's your first pitch. What's your second?
And, you know, every season they'd fight maybe a Z-list villain or something like that. Maybe, like, you know, they fight...
Quizmaster.
They fight, like... Well, maybe nobody as silly as that, but they fight people like, you know, Dollmaker... And you make him, like, really creepy like he is on the TV shows and stuff. Or, like, Professor Pig or something like that. Or Zaz. And it's just, like, you know, these murderers and, like, creepy killers and stuff like that. Because, like, Professor Pig, I don't really remember him when Grant Morrison wrote him, but in the video game, he was, like, taking bodies and cutting them up and stuff like that. Taking the skin off and, like, you know, putting it on different people, trying to make them look different. Trying to make them look perfect, as he put it.
Yeah.
And it would be like that. It would just be like, you know, they're finding all these dead bodies with, like, pieces missing off of them. And, like, they're eventually able to kind of point it to Professor Pig, and they have to go after him and stuff like that. It would be like that. So, yeah, that's kind of my first pitch. And that would be, I think, in a way... I think both of my ideas could be melded together to make, you know, a better perfect show. But the second idea would be this jumping off point would be Batman died.
Interesting.
Similar to, like, maybe you could do it and kind of tie it into, like, Final Crisis when he died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe just be like, you know,
he was on a mission with the Justice League.
Yeah, he's with the Justice League and
back.
he didn't come back. So they're not really aware that he's dead necessarily. It's just kind of like he didn't come back. So they all assume he's dead.
Yeah.
And so
they're just like, we're in a world without a Batman.
Yeah, we're in a world without a Batman, and what are we going to do now? And I feel like that would probably be easier as a writer to kind of be like, well, now we don't have to deal with Joker or, you know, Riddler maybe or anything like that. Because then you can say that, you know, Joker, Riddler, they just all left after Batman died because... You know, they didn't have anybody to play with. I guess you could say something like that. Like they didn't have anybody. They didn't have anybody that could challenge them or anything like that. So that way you don't have to deal with Joker or anything like that. And it would still be the same way, which just kind of like we're in a world without Batman. Still would be revolving around Allen and Montoya. You know, you could have Bullock and Gordon in there every once in a while, but they're not, you know, the main characters. But you know, that would be the jumping off point, and they're still fighting, you know, mob bosses, Professor Pig, those type of guys too. So you could do that, and I feel like I said, maybe you blend both of them together, and it would still be a good show. Like in the first couple seasons, Batman's there, and then at the end, Batman's dead. You know, they're like Batman didn't come back, and we don't know what to do now. And then like from that point on, they're dealing with the fact that Batman's dead. And I think there's a lot of things that you could connect to if you wanted to do Batman's dead. Say like, you know, Batman's dead, but we don't know where Bruce Wayne is. You know, Wayne hasn't showed up for a long time, and all of a sudden he shows up. And we're like, oh, well, how's Bruce Wayne alive? Batman's dead. And if you could, I'd try to see if maybe you could have like Dick Grayson show up or something like that and be kind of like, you know, I don't know, kind of suggest that it's Hush or something like that. Kind of give a way to be like, it's Hush that's him because he made himself look like Bruce Wayne or something like that. Maybe earlier on they're fighting a guy and they're like, he looks just like Bruce Wayne or something like that, and we have to stop him because he's like murdering people or whatever. So you kind of suggest that he's like Hush, like they did in the comics,
Yeah.
Or like maybe even just have it to where like Nightwing is, going around doing stuff. Maybe not. Maybe he's not Batman, but he's Nightwing, and he's like, I'm protecting Gotham for now.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's just sick or whatever.
Yeah, he's under the weather.
Or he's dead. You could say Nightwing's just like, yeah, he's dead, but I'm gonna be here to help out.
Yeah.
And then you could have like Jason Todd in there and everything like that, because it would still be very prominent in the DC universe, but you don't have to deal with like this is before they're this or anything like that. It's just you do, and you write it. You'd have to write it a lot better, but it would be very like smart in the way that they handle that. That you don't ever see Batman. You don't really ever see anybody else, but there's a lot of mentions that they're there, that they're just like, this is worse than the time the Joker attacked us or whatever, or Clayface attacked us.
Yeah.
You do stuff like that.
Yeah, which is a lot cooler than like what they do on Gotham right now when
right.
they're like, she's a real Joker.
Or like, he's the Riddler there.
Yeah,
they do a lot of that type of crap, and just like, no. I'm sick and tired of that crap. I'm sick of it. I'm tired, Jackson. I'm tired of all of that.
Look at him, the Riddler.
They're like a little, I don't want to see any of that crap. You throw, Dick Grayson on there, and he's like, he's, Batman's talking to Robin or whatever, and he's like, a little birdie told me. And it's like, no, don't throw that stuff in there. Just be like,
yeah.
It's Robin.
Even
like,
Nolan
Robin
ended his movies on that note where they're like, you should go by your first name, Robin.
They're like, no, it's like that type of stuff. It just, it makes me mad because it's like, that's not clever. It's not clever. It's like you're slapping me in the face with it. I don't want that anymore. I'm done with it. I know they think it's clever, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
All right. So those are pretty dope proposals, though.
Proposals. Well, let me look over my notes. If you have something to say, you can say it.
I can go ahead and give you my proposal.
Yeah, go
ahead. For a
ahead.
Gotham show, it would start out like this. Like each episode would start out like there's like some people maybe talking or something like that. Like walking down the street, like hey man, did you see the game last night? Oh man, they really should have put so and so on. And then they walk by an alley. They stumble across a body. But that body is like, it's like frozen in like an icicle, and they're like, oh no, it's a body. Dun dun. Goes into the Law and Order thing in the city of Gotham City. The legal system is split into 3 separate but equal parts.
Law, Order, and Batman.
Law and Order and Batman. Created by Bob Kane, Bill Finger, and Dick Wolf. We're getting Dick Wolf in on this one here. You sit around, like you said, Crispus, Allen, Renee Montoya, you have Harvey Dent, and Harvey Bullock, and Harvey Dent. So there's two characters that like we're both named Harvey.
You could throw Harvey Dent in this one too,
Gordon.
to where it's like it's pre-Two-Face maybe or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't try to make it. I try to make it to where you don't see as many villains as possible, but you still have them there.
Yeah.
Like like I said, because the fact that like they fight Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy would be interesting because it's just like, well, we're just regular guys, and we're able to fight Mr. Freeze.
Regular people.
Or maybe you could have it to where it's like we're fighting Mr. Freeze, and then at the end, Batman shows up and beats.
Yeah,
Mr.
well, that's what mine is Batman is in the show every week, but you don't really see him do anything. It's like they come in, you see like Harvey Bullock and Crispus Attucks are like investigating the scene.
Crispus
they're
Allen.
like.
Crispus
Allen, they come in and they're like, somebody put this guy on ice and, make some law and order like jokes and stuff. And
I told you, no jokes.
Oh, mine's got jokes. But that's like jokes like on Law and Order.
Like jokes. They can have jokes, but no.
Like on Law and Order, if they had like a teacher that was dead, somebody would be like, school's out. Or something. But yeah, just jokes like that. They would be on a Law and Order episode. We get with Dick Wolf on this. But, they do their investigation and stuff like that. They take their stuff to Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon goes, turns on the bat signal. Batman comes. They have a conversation every week. He gives them the evidence. Batman takes it and goes. Next day they come in
Yeah, the guy's hanging.
Mr. Freeze is hanging from the thing.
the light pole or whatever. And they're like, good. And then it cuts to order. And it's Harvey Dent's in the courtroom, and he's prosecuting against Victor Freeze or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And then it ends like any Law and Order episode does. I mean, it's got all the same things. You have the cops interviewing people, gathering this evidence for Batman, but we just see Batman makes the bust, and we just don't see it.
Yeah, they're just like, well, we figured out that it was Victor Freeze that did this, and Batman's like, okay, I'll take care of it.
It's like, clearly.
I mean, the fan was frozen.
But they do what they do.
Because there was a story I read one time that they could do where it's like, and it could be done in my show too.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Victor.
Where it's a guy, well, they could do it to where it's a guy that got shot and murdered. And there was no bullet or anything like that. And they're just kind of like, well, where's the bullet go? Or whatever. And then Batman was able to put together that it was, an ice bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, an ice bullet? I wonder who makes ice bullets in Gotham. And so he was able to track down Mr. Freeze, and it was Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, so that could be the episode. The guy is shot, and they're like, there's no bullet, and, they do all this stuff to the Law and Order.
There's no casing, no bullet, no, residue or nothing
But
like
we
that.
have the cops figure it out, and that's what gives them something to do. Is the cops go and they interview people, and they interview one guy that's like, "Yeah, I made this guy an ice bullet."
As he's carrying boxes on a truck
boxes
or
something. Then they take that evidence to Batman. Batman makes the bust, and then we've got our criminal, and then we go into the Two-Face version of the stuff. Not Two-Face, but Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent, and he's like the prosecutor.
You got Harvey Dent, and you've got, what was Rachel's name?
I don't know. She's not a real character.
Yeah, but
she's not in the universe.
She's the only other lawyer character there was, though, wasn't she?
I don't know. Was there another lawyer? Was there a judge?
I don't think so. It was I'll allow it.
Yeah, just do Harvey Dent. And it's
I'm sure there are some in the comics, but
I'd just do Harvey Dent.
But you got to have somebody because he's got to become Two-Face eventually. You just don't see him anymore. He's not on the show.
Well, yeah, maybe they keep doing the show until the actor's like, I want more money.
Like
and
season 3
fine,
finale,
we can
he
turn
turns
you
into
into Two-Face.
During one of the courtroom scenes, someone throws
acid in his face. Yeah, that's the season finale. He's like, and we all know that Maroney is a bad guy or whatever. And then
Maroney's like, you son of a bitch!
And he's like, no! And then, you see the back of Batman trying to save him or whatever.
Yeah, just like in the Tim Burton movie.
Like in the Joel Schumacher one.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher one, where he puts, the paper on half of his face.
Yeah,
he, shields himself with the paper, and it burns half of his face. And then he's, one of the people that starts doing crimes, and you maybe bring him back for, one more episode, or the new DA has to, cross-examine the
Harvey
old DA.
Yeah.
See? So there you go.
See, Gotham, that's how you fixed your show. You made it a whole lot more.
We got 3 different versions.
We came up with 2.
That you had.
Well, I had 3, but like I said, you could even blend them together, and I feel like narratively, the second one works probably better for people, for writers, because they can be like, this is the jumping off point. Batman's been dead for 6 weeks or whatever, and they're not they're kind of just like, well, what do we do now, maybe cops are even kind of we actually have to be a cop now. Before Batman figured it all out for us, he brought us evidence and everything, and now we actually have to go through and figure it all out. So, it's just like I said, Gotham, the show that we have now, is awful, and I really feel like it's annoying.
Certainly.
And especially, this new season where it's you're just it's just
all these villains, all these different versions of the Joker.
Yeah, and it's the only reason they're doing all the villains is because that's the best thing about it, but it's still not the best thing about it. I don't even know if there is a best thing about
I
Gotham.
mean, it kind of reminds me of like.
I guess the fact that it's a comic book
It
show.
sounded cool when like Heroes was like, this season's gonna be the season of the villains.
Yeah, because
And
you were
you
kind
were
of
like, oh man, that sounds cool.
well, because for
and
one,
then it turned out it wasn't cool.
Yeah, it wasn't cool. It was
nothing happened.
stupid because they
It was
killed
like
all of
the
them.
first
after the
episode
first
was
couple
cool
episodes.
because like they introduced like I think 3 cool villains, and then that's all they ever did.
Well, the thing was, is they built up to be like, this is the season of villains, to where it's like, okay, well, now you've seen the last couple seasons were heroes. You know, this is going to be villains, and like these are going to be the villains that the heroes are going to fight and stuff, and that's kind of what they kind of built it up as.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like the first couple episodes, Sylar came in and killed them all,
Yeah.
and then like Sylar was the bad guy again, and you're like,
It's like,
do something different now, come on.
come on, Sylar is like the striker of
Yeah,
Heroes
he's,
world.
he's the striker of heroes.
Yeah.
What we don't know is in this new hero show, Sylar turns up at the end and he was like, I will
kill everybody.
Well, like, they're like, Sylar, we need your help. And he's like, okay, I'll help. And then, like, at the end, he's like, no, I'm the bad guy. Because that's exactly how it happened.
How it happened in every season.
They were like,
of Heroes.
Sylar, we want you to be like a cop with, you know, the guy, the glasses guy. And then he was like, okay, I'll do that. And then he was just like, nah, I'm a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Magneto.
Come on. I have head opening powers. My powers are to open people's heads.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Stinks.
But yeah, Gotham's terrible. Maybe we could do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I feel like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel like is harder to do.
It's harder to save that one.
Yeah. Well, because with Gotham, it's like I said, you can just be like, you know, just do a cop show. I think with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's like you could do just a spy show, but it's like, that's kind of what they're doing, but
Well,
it's
maybe
still with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you have to say, like, just make it good.
Well, we could also do like a segment that's like pitching things, like pitch your perfect Marvel Cinematic Universe TV show.
Well, there is one. Daredevil.
You could pitch another one. What's your second favorite?
And that's kind of what Gotham would be. It would be like Daredevil. To where it's like, it's in this universe, and they mention, you know, the alien invasion, the Avengers,
That's
and
what
everything.
your Gotham would be.
But, you know.
My Law and Order Gotham.
It's not. Because it's like I said, it'd be more of a comic book universe that they're in. Where, like I said, there's Superman, Wonder Woman. But, you know, nobody ever goes there. Nobody really ever goes to Gotham.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's not, I want to blow up Gotham or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not like
But
you have to worry
talk about
Superman
Gotham
showing
being
up.
like a big city like New York, and it just never seemed to me like Gotham was a big city like that. Because
Well, yeah, it was always
who
so
would
terrible.
want to live there?
Well, and that's the thing, is that's what you could explore that a lot more in that show, is the fact that, like, oh, Gotham is a big metropolis, but there's too many, like, seedy areas around for it to be like,
Yeah.
this
It's just
big,
not as big
it's
as
not
Metropolis.
like it's not like Metropolis. And you can have lines in there where they're like, Gotham's a great city, but it's no Metropolis. You know, there's too much crime for it to,
to be Metropolis.
for it to be a metropolis.
Yeah, the Waynes are trying to save it or whatever, but it's still no Metropolis.
Yeah, it's no metropolis. And I liked whatchamacallit's idea for a Gotham show, but that'd be better for a comic book, honestly. Going back to Kevin Smith's podcast, when he had Mark Bernardin, and Mark Bernardin kind of pitched an idea for a show. But like I said, it'd be better for a comic book, the one with Alfred, where he's kind of like, it's kind of like Alfred pushed him into becoming Batman. So, I think anything would be better than what they have now. Because what they have now is, like I said, a bad version of Smallville. Because he's not Batman. He's not even, like, close to being, like, Detective-y or nothing like that. He's just boring and annoying. Mm-hmm. Everybody on there is either boring or annoying.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Shadow of the Bat. Because that would be way better. It'd be super cheesy and super stupid. But I would still much rather see than, this boring, annoying show.
Maybe you should just not watch Gotham anymore.
I know, I probably won't. I won't. And it's like I said, all this stuff with, like, Barbara Gordon or whatever, and she's crazy. That was so stupid. That was so stupid when I saw that episode.
She's not Barbara Gordon.
Well, she's like Barbara Keene or whatever, but, it was like, she was like, she was like, I didn't kill my parents, and then she's like, I did kill my parents, and then she was like, girlfriend, thanks for talking to me. You know what? I'm gonna kill you. It was like, what? It's like, what are they doing? I'm like,
crazy.
And they got pretty good actors on that show. I mean, I really like Donald Logg. I think he's one of the best TV actors around. Ben McKenzie's been in some stuff, like Southland he's been noted for and stuff. And Jada Pinkett Smith's been on a lot of stuff too where she's good. And it's just kind of like, they're terrible on the show. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, the characters are really boring and annoying. They're written pretty badly, and it's just
written in the rain.
And, it's
One more thing about my show.
But go ahead.
Commissioner Gordon would definitely have a mustache and glasses.
Yes, he would have a mustache. And like I said, maybe you could have it to where Gordon's only in it for maybe out of the 13 episodes or so. Maybe he's only in 4 or 5. And then that way you can get Bryan Cranston to be and he can grow his, mustache and stuff, and he can just come in for a few, weeks.
I think there's plenty of guys that could be Gordon, and in my show he'd be in there every week having a scene with Batman.
Well, yeah, he'd have to come in with the scene with Batman, but with my show,
presenting the evidence to the third wing of the
justice system.
Justice system in Gotham, Batman.
Yeah, but I mean, they wouldn't make your show.
I'm saying.
I mean, your show is, it's 100% better than what they're working with now. I mean, like I said, anything.
All I'm saying is,
and like I said,
you'd be like, Dick Wolf, you have access to the Batman mythos.
Yes. Do Law and Order, Gotham.
You did Law and Order UK.
Yeah, there's
you
got Law and Order, you got Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Criminal Intent. I think you had Law and Order Los Angeles, UK, Law and Order
Gotham. Come on. You wouldn't do it. We know you love those Christopher Nolan movies. Do us a Law and Order Gotham. Mm-hmm. It could work.
Yep. But we have to settle for this terrible Gotham
just a pitch.
It's just a pitch.
A pitch perfect.
Yep. A perfect pitch.
A perfect pitch.
It is the perfect pitch. It's like I said, I mean, I didn't really go into great detail, but, a lot of the stuff would be like Daredevil, where it's kind of like, it's not really serialized, but it's not really like...
Not serialized.
Yeah, but then it's also like got an overarching story. So, whatever. And then I'd put it on FX too.
FX has the movies.
Yeah, and it's got some of the best TV shows too. I mean, maybe not the best.
Well, Fox has some good TV shows.
Like what?
Empire.
Yeah, Empire's good, but it's not like. I mean, it is. I mean, it is good. It is good. Empire's good, but I mean, everything else on Fox is kind of like stayed.
You got Brooklyn Nine.
It's kind of stayed its welcome, like Bones and all the American Idol crap, X Factor. It's like I'm done watching people sing. Okay, people can sing.
Well, you never started watching people sing.
I know I didn't need to because I knew there are people out there that can sing. So it's like I don't need to watch people sing, and I don't like to watch bad people that can't sing. So
those episodes are pretty hilarious.
Yeah, but it's different where it's like what's his name, Bobby Lee. Bobby Chung or whatever his name
Bobby
was.
Lee.
What was his name? It was like...
William Hung.
Yeah, William Hung. And, because I think I remember like a Mad TV sketch about it. Mad TV, they could have brought back. Fox always cancels stuff when it's good. Like 24, X-Files, Mad TV.
They did let, 24 go on for 8 seasons.
I mean, it did get 8 seasons, but it was still giving them strong ratings. It wasn't like, it's dipping down, we're not getting anything out of this. It's still it was still doing stuff. They brought it back. Same with X-Files. They're bringing X-Files back for a little bit, a couple episodes. So, I mean, they're still able to bring that stuff back. Fox just sucks overall. Is I'm sure they'll do this with Empire. Empire will probably get canceled at some point. Probably season 4 or 5 of Empire. Once a lot of the big It's a big smash hit now. It's getting great ratings, but probably season 4 or 5, once it kind of dies down and it's not... I mean, it'll still get solid numbers and stuff, but once it kind of dies down, they're going to cancel that show. I mean, it's got a bunch of black people.
That's true. Probably right.
Like I said, I mean, Fox, I like New Girl. So.
Yeah, New Girl is on Fox.
All
right, so let's stop bashing Fox.
Yeah. I like Fox. Fox ain't bad. I like Fox. They gave me some good programming over the years, like The Simpsons, Family Guy.
Oh, so now you're singing their praises. I didn't say start singing their praises.
It's just like I said, they canceled stuff way too early. But they gave a second season to Gotham. That's why I hate Fox. They gave us a second season of Gotham.
Did they cancel Firefly?
Yeah, and they canceled they only gave 13 episodes to Firefly. They gave 20-something episodes to Gotham.
In a second season.
In a second.
It's like 40 episodes. 40 episodes versus Firefly's 12. But let's not...
but like I said...
let's not...
I like... I like Fox. Fox...
Let's not dwell on this.
Still has some great shows. They canceled Arsenio too, didn't they?
Canceled Arsenio
but... We digress. We'll move into this the last chamber of our podcast, which is recommendations, Jackson.
Recommendations?
Yes. So of course, every week, whenever we do the podcast, we usually like to end out the show with some recommendations, either something that we're gonna watch or something that we did watch or read or whatever, and we'll recommend to our audience. But you got anything?
Yeah, I was gonna recommend All-Star Superman.
You probably already recommended that, but I'm not gonna go back and listen.
All-Star Superman. It's an awesome set of comic books, an awesome movie, and it's really good.
Yep, it's probably like the Dark Knight Returns of Superman stories.
Probably like the best Superman story.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Returns.
Go ahead.
The Dark Knight Returns of Superman stories. In my opinion, because a lot of people hold Dark Knight Returns as being like, this is the best ever, especially with like comic books. Now,
it's a good story.
Now people are like, Watchmen is probably the best comic book, graphic novel, whatever of all time. But I think in terms of like comic books, with a comic book character like Batman, Dark Knight Returns is probably considered the best. Because it's like I said, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Why are you arguing with me? I'm not.
No, I'm just saying. Dark Knight Returns, is considered like that, seminal.
Yeah, and All-Star Superman.
And All-Star Superman is seminal.
It's really adorable by Grant Morrison and his frequent partner, Frank Quietly. And it's just this really bizarre, cool take on Superman. They should do it as a movie. It'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Or at least just make Superman more like that.
Yeah, make him more...
You don't have to do All-Star Superman.
You believe that this is the Superman that, is in the Justice League, but can also, play baseball with meteorites and shoot a little smaller Superman out of his hand like he used to in the old comics.
Well, he probably only did that, once or twice. He probably didn't do that every issue.
Exactly. But it was one of his powers.
But yeah,
he still has that power.
I agree. It is, it is seminal for Superman.
That's how he could have stopped Zod at the end of Man of Steel.
He could just shot one down his throat or something like that.
He was like, oh.
And he was like, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. He shoots a small Superman down his throat.
Yeah.
And it, chokes him to death. And
it's like it's his fault.
He wasn't able to throw me out of his mouth or whatever.
This tiny Superman created. Yeah, but then Zod would have been like, and shot a little Zod out of his hand.
They're like, damn it!
And then they both died.
They both choked to death. It's like,
what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is actually a video game, Jackson. It's not a comic book video game, but it is pretty good anyways.
A video game?
Yep.
Not a comic book video game.
You know what it is. It's Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain.
The Phantom Pain.
I finally was able to buy it. It came out like September 1st, but I bought it the other day, and it's really good.
It's really good?
It's really good.
All
Story's
right.
confusing. I have no idea what's going on, which is normally how it goes in a Metal Gear game. But it is still like gameplay's amazing. It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah.
Really nice. Well, I mean, if anybody out there is a fan of the Metal Gear games, you know, I don't know too much about it, but we did do a Zero XP few episodes on it, so it's also on our channel here. So check it out if you like that, or if you like this podcast. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, we did Ground Zeroes, the kind of prelude to Phantom Pain. So, you know, like Jackson said, check that out. If you want us to do Phantom Pain, we might try to work out something to do pieces of it, because it is a really long game. So maybe we might try to go back and do parts, certain levels or whatever that seem interesting. So we're working on that, brainstorming. But yeah. Anything else? Anything? Clean up?
I don't have anything to add.
You sure?
No, I fact-checked everything we said tonight, and we're all pretty factually accurate.
You fact checked everything you said.
Yes,
No,
I
you
did.
didn't.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Harry Potter, like in the Harry Potter books, they pretty much say wizards
Vampires.
are the same as vampires.
Wizards
Except
are the same as vampires,
suck
Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry, which
that
is
what-
kind of like a vampire, except
Pretty
you
much like a vampire.
suck of blood.
You carry wooden wands instead of...
Yeah, instead of wooden stakes.
Yeah, you use wands instead of stakes. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe they're just like, they were stakes, but just over the years as they got smaller and like shriveled up,
There you
they
go.
became wands. They became imbued with the blood of vampires. So now they're magical, and that they can be like, forget a kiss, and you forget stuff.
Exactly. Just like vampires can do. And they can hypnotize you, and they can make you think that your spaghetti is worms.
And with the help of infinity stones, you throw that in there too.
Yeah.
Interdimensional travel. Fantastic Four. It's
This has gotten out of hand.
all over the place. But we'll end it here. For Straight Outta Comics,
Man.
I've been Holden.
And I've been Jackson, and we're straight out of here.
That was pretty good.